What's up, everybody? I'm back at the house today. It's day 2. This morning I did some cleanup. I didn't film that. I still have the flooring down here in the living room just because I need to figure out where to put all that. I think I'm gonna rent a truck or something once I have all of it out and take it to the dump. Or maybe see if someone has a use for it. That way it's not just getting trashed, but we'll see. But today I'm gonna work on actually painting the fireplace. I'll walk you through kind of what I'm using to paint it, my process in painting. I've painted a lot of stuff in the past. This is my first time using an airless spray gun. And I've always used my air compressor and a cheap air gun. And that really doesn't work the best for me in the past. So I'm excited to use this one. It's not the most expensive on the market, as I'm not a painter every day. So I figured, you know, spending $400 was probably about my max on a paint gun. And I know a lot of people aren't even gonna drop that. And this is totally something you could do with a brush and roller. Just might take you a little more time to do so. Might not be as even of a coat, but we'll see, because I've never used this gun. Maybe it'll be terrible, and I'll definitely let you guys know. And I'll kind of show you here in a minute the gun I'm using and the paint I'm using also. So let's jump onto it and show you what's going on. Fireplace, guys, all stripped down. I took the mantle off earlier, saved you guys that noise because that was super loud. It was held into the wall with rebar, and I pulled that out, and you can see that bad boy right there on top of all the flooring. Like I said, it's still here. But there's the fireplace. The walls I'm going to replace. I was considering just salvaging them and sanding it down a little bit, trying to get all the loose paper off. But just the more I sanded, the more paper came up. And I figure this is probably 3 sheets of drywall, so you're probably looking at like $25–30 and, you know, an hour of time. And I don't have to sit there pounding all the nails and try to sand these down. And I just don't think it's going to look quite right. So I'm leaving them up for now. That way I don't even have to tape the sides. I can just spray it right onto that drywall and not even care about it. But really the only place I'm going to be taping it off using some tape and plastic here is going to be the actual fireplace insert itself. I don't want that black getting any of this white on it. And I believe I'm painting the hearth. I'm not sure, I'm gonna have to check on that. But I believe this is all getting painted white. You'll see the old holes here. And that's where the rebar was to hold in that mantle. I'm not patching that because I am putting a new mantle over this. And it's gonna be a big, thick mantle that will probably, you know, go from here to about here itself, so this will all be covered. You could just throw some patch in those and try to make it look like the natural brick. They are bumpy bricks, so it wouldn't be too hard, but I'm not going to waste my time on that. As for the gun, here's the gun I'm using. It's a Graco LTS-15 airless sprayer. Like I said, I think it was like $350–400. I got it over at Lowe's. This is my first time using something like this. But I'm excited to use this thing because it should be nice and easy. I did buy an extension for the gun to get up in the high places, so I don't have to be standing on the ladder, but we'll see how that works as well. As for the paint, I'm using this Valspar flat colored. It's a masonry, stucco, and brick paint. Just the pure white that it comes in right off the shelf. We want this thing bright white in here, kind of be a centerpiece with the mantle being like a nice natural wood. So it should really pop. This is supposed to absorb really well into the brick. Probably have to do a few coats. Hopefully this 1 gallon is enough. If not, we'll have to go back to Lowe's. But I'm gonna go ahead, bust open this box with the sprayer in it, sit down for a little bit, read some directions, and then I'll get back to you guys, and then we'll throw you on a time lapse again and bust this thing out. See you guys in a minute. All right, guys, I'm back. Read through the instructions. Of course, what would a project be if I didn't have to make another run to the store? So here at the new house, I don't have all my stuff, so I needed some buckets. So I had to run down to Ace to get buckets. While I was there's a pool store next door. I spent an hour at the pool store just talking to the guy, learning about all the chemicals, because I swear you have to be a chemist to freaking manage a pool.
But I'm back with the buckets. I've read through the instructions. I think I understand what I need to do, and I'll kind of show you guys. It's like a whole song and dance to this thing, just to get it primed and ready, and then to start getting the paint coming through your bucket, or through your gun. And that's not even including the cleanup. So it's a lot of work to get it going, it seems like, but I feel like once I understand it, it'll be easy, you know, and in the future it'll be not too bad at all. So I'm gonna flip you guys around and show you what we got going on here. All right, so here's my buckets. One is just an empty, we're gonna call it the waste bucket. And then I have a secondary bucket that's full of water. Not full, but it's got a bunch of water in it. So I'm using a latex paint, which is water-based, which is another name for water paint. But if you're using oil-based paint, you wouldn't use water, you'd use mineral spirits instead. Here's the water bucket. Here's the empty waste bucket. Let's separate the two of these. Pretty easy, just some clips. This one here seems to be the waste tube. It's a little bit smaller, it's a thin tube. So let's go ahead and put that tube in there. And this looks like a suction or a pickup, just basing that off the fact that it's got a bigger inlet and it's got a little filter on it. My guess is to make sure you don't pick up junk. All right, that's going right now. It's a little loud in there. It's priming. It said to give it about 30 to 60 seconds to fully prime. I started noticing that water was coming out of the drain tube slowly into the waste bucket, which makes me feel like it is priming properly. So I'll hit you guys up as soon as we're done with priming that machine. Alright, so now that we got the fireplace here, there's a couple things you want to make sure that you do right in this process. So the first thing is going to be your air. So one, make sure the room is highly ventilated. This is not a very good paint as far as low, I think it's VC or VLC or something like that. It's got a very strong smell and a lot of harmful chemicals in it. So make sure you got a mask on, the room is ventilated. Secondary is make sure any fans are off. We don't want our paint blowing anywhere, we don't want it to go. And then the AC unit, any vents, you can probably close them. Probably just shut off the AC if you can. I'm gonna try to get by without that because it's just so stinking hot. And that's it for air. Other than that, prep your surface. So how good of a prep job you do is gonna directly correlate to how good of a paint job you actually get. So make sure you dust it all off fully. If you can, go with like a wet towel or something and brush it all down. Vacuum your surface. Very important. And then it's prep as far as masking things off. So make sure you tape up anything you don't want spray painted. For us today, that's going to be just this area right here. I don't want this black metal to get hit with our latex paint because this does get worn. And this paint is not a heat rated paint by any means. So I'm going to take this all off. I'm going to start by just doing a layer, a single strip of blue painter's tape all around. And then I have plastic that I'm going to tape off of that painter's tape just to give me a little bit of room off of my brick here to actually be accurate with.